Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to meeting 3. In the previous meeting, we learned the difference between errors and mistakes. The idea is very important in error analysis because it helps us understand how language learners develop their language step by step. Okay. Inshallah, today we will start analyzing one of the most common sources of errors in English, verb tenses. And many English learners struggle with tenses because English expresses time very precisely. So small changes in verb forms, such as go, when, or has gone. So all of those changes forms can change the meaning of a sentence completely. So before we look at the specific examples, let's first think about an important question. Why are verb tenses difficult for many English learners in Indonesian? So let's explore that in the next slide. Okay, these questions, simple questions, right? Why are tenses difficult? Tense errors happen because English expresses time very precisely. A small change in verb, for example, like adding ed or using has, can completely change the meaning of a sentence. For many learners, these small changes are easy to miss, but once we start paying attention to them, it becomes much easier to recognize tense errors and improve our accuracy. Now that we understand why tense errors happen, let's look at some real examples together in the next slide. Okay, common tense errors. Look carefully at each sentence on the screen. Every sentence shows a different tense problem, and each one teaches us something important. So what you are doing is not only to correct the sentences, but also to understand why they are wrong, why they are incorrect. So a good question to ask yourself is what time is the sentence talking about? Look at the time specifically. Is it past, present, or connected to the present or future? Are there time signals like yesterday, last week, or since exist there? Or when you understand the reason behind the correction, you are not just memorizing grammar, you are building real accuracy, and that's exactly what error analysis course is about. Okay. Remember these three simple reminders. Three simple reminders. They may look small, simple, but they are very powerful, in fact, they can help you solve many common tense errors in English. Whenever you feel unsure about a verb tense, come back to these reminders and use them as your guide. Simple one. Now let's see how these reminders work in real examples. Activity 1, correct the sentences. Now please, you may pause this video and take your time for a moment, 2 to 3 minutes, and try to correct each sentence carefully one by one. Don't rush. Focus on the time expression and the verb form. So when you finish, continue the video and you will check the answers together. You will check the answers on the next slide. Okay, here's the answer. Here's the answer, So notice the patterns in these sentences. Many learners tend to mix past time expressions with the present perfect tense, the mix. For example, words like yesterday, last week, or 2 hours ago usually require the simple past, not the present perfect. By recognizing these patterns, you can understand why the errors happen and how to correct them more effectively. Okay? Yeah, let's take a look. Let's explore why these errors happen. So, most tense errors are systematic, you know. In other words, they show a pattern in how someone currently understands English. That's why we call them errors, not just mistakes. Okay, because of direct translation from first language or L1, confusion between time markers as we discussed previously, and overgeneralization. Right. Activity 2, identify the pattern. Now let's do a short quiz to check your understanding of tense errors. Okay, so on the screen you will see 15 sentences. Each sentence contains a tense error, and these are examples of mistakes that many Indonesian learners commonly make when learning English. Even I myself, long time ago when I started learning English, I also experienced the same common errors. So what you're gonna do is two things. Okay, first, identify the error in each sentence, 1 until 15. That will be your score for this meeting, inshallah. And second, rewrite the sentence using the correct tense. Yeah, this is a simple thing, but simple task, but it train your analysis, your understanding. So as you work through the sentences, try to think about why the error happens. Okay, this is very important things. Is it because the verb form is incorrect? Is the past tense missing? Or is the sentence mixing two different time expressions? Okay, remember the goal here is not just to correct the sentence. The goal is to train your ability to recognize patterns in language errors. So please pause the video and take a few minutes to correct the sentences and write your answers, okay? Well, before we finish today's session, everyone, let's briefly review what we learned. In this meeting, we explored common tense errors and so how small changes in verb forms can affect the meaning of a sentence, okay? And more importantly, we practiced identifying these errors and understanding why they happen. Remember, the goal of error analysis is not only to correct mistakes, but also to recognize patterns in language learning. Inshallah, in the next meeting, we will continue our analysis by exploring another important topic. That's subject verb agreement. Thank you for your attention and see you in the next session, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.